Hi guys, it's Jennibellie. So we're at the end of our Christmas recycling project, and I've shown you how to make the larger art journals out of Christmas cards, and also these little mini books to put into the art journals. I'm now going to show you how to make these beads, which I put on the spine, but as you can see can be used for anything. I've made a couple of bracelets here. I just really like using beads on my books. I don't know why, I'm just addicted to it. So the reason I've put this tutorial on with the rest of the Christmas recycling tutorials is because Christmas is the only time of year that we use aluminium foil in this house, and so every year we forget whether we've got any in and buy another roll, and I currently have about 6 or 7 rolls of it in the kitchen. So I decided to take one up to the studio because none of them have really been used, and this is what I came up with. So I really hope you like it, and I will see you soon. Bye! So what you're going to need is just ordinary kitchen foil. I've already cut a piece off to try and limit the noise on the video. And then what I have is just some cheap craft paints. These I got from a pound shop, and this is just one of the £1 bottles. I think I'll go this colour. You just put your paint on. Side, I'm going to use the same colour but also put some gesso in there, just so I've got a bit of a dual tone. I mean, I could use acrylic paint for this, but I also like the fact that I get a bit of grip with the gesso. Only a little bit because I already have some on the brush and I want it lighter so that there's two colours mixing when you scrunch them up. You get a little bit of interest on your bead. Now, when I begin to cut them into manageable pieces, I don't actually measure it. But what I do once I've cut the first one, is I then use it as a guide for the second one to make sure that the beads of the same colour are generally going to be the same size. Now I would take a guess that this one I've cut at about 2 inches. It's about 2.5 inches, this one. And you can see I'm not being exactly accurate, I'm just using it as a guide. Now this last bit, if it's generally about half the width of the other ones, when I cut these ones in half, I just leave this a full width, and generally that bead will be about the same size as this bead, so don't waste this extra bit. I mean, even if it's a bit of a different size, it doesn't really matter, it's still going to be a bead for you to use. So, cut these in half. Okay, and just begin scrunching. Now, if you try painting the other way that I'm going to show you, you will realise that this is a lot sturdier. The paint really does help stick this ball together. Now, you have to scrunch it as tightly as you possibly can. Get all the air out so that there isn't a chance of there not being anywhere that the glue can't get. So, let's keep going with the rest of them. Okay, so as you can see, the smaller piece isn't that much different in size from the other pieces, and you can see the dual colours. Okay, the next stage for these beads is to grab a cocktail stick and just try and work a hole through the foil. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. So if you have a needle, or I've got a pokey tool here to hand, it might be just easier to do it that way. And then put these to one side for the next stage. Now the other painting technique, what you'll do is grab the foil first, scrunch it up, and then go straight to the threading. Now, look, sometimes it's easier than other times, it's just depending on the bead itself. And then an easy way I find to paint them is to grab a dabber, because it will allow you to paint some peaks and have some of the silver coming through. If you don't want the silver coming through, then just paint it with a regular brush. And what I have here to dry them on is just a piece of clay that I've punched with holes, but a piece of polystyrene will work fine. I mean, it's for my you can see here it's for my paper beads that I made this, but it's the same principle with these ones. Now let me just show you the difference between this is a bead that I've pre-painted pre the scrunch, and this is post the scrunch, and it just feels to me like there's more give in it. There's nothing wrong with it, it's still fused together and it's still a workable bead. It's not going to unravel itself, but for me, for the effort of making them, I want a solid bead out of it. So I would recommend painting pre-scrunch rather than post-scrunch. Now I'm just going to discuss the sealants that I've tried. I originally tried this diamond glaze because I wanted, and the glossy accents as well, because I wanted a nice glossy finish on the beads, the same way that I like them on my paper beads. But the diamond glaze is far too runny to get into all the nooks and creases that you need it to get into in the foil beads. The glossy accents is a little better, but it's very time consuming with its small nozzle, and even if you take it off and paint it on, it's still a little bit more thinner than something that you need to get into all the nooks and crannies, because if you don't get into these little creases here that are where the foils join, then at some point in the future it could unravel. So then I went to the pound shop and I picked up this PVA glue, and it works absolutely brilliantly. What I've done is I've put in a little bit of this varnish because it's quite gloopy. I'll show you this container. I mean, you can see the mixture is it's not moving very quickly, and it's quite a thick consistency. The PVA glue would work fine on its own if you wanted to just use that. That's no worries. It's just I like to have a little bit of extra thickness. Okay, so the beads need to be covered completely, and where you've got the nooks, just try and work. Sorry, I'm out of shot. Try and work the mixture into it. And if you are going to use this these beads for anything other than a bit of art, you know, if you're going to use it for jewellery, then definitely make sure that all these corners are covered, so it's not going to be uncomfortable to wear the jewellery where there's sharp corners. So just keep going with the beads. And then if you still want, once you've done a bit of embellishing that I'm going to do to these beads next, if you still want it to be nice and glossy and to have a glazed finish, then you can always put the glossy accents or the diamond glaze on top anyway. It's not going to, you know, another layer is only going to make it more sturdy, it's not going to hurt them. Okay, so I'm going to get painting all of these, and usually they don't even really take a day, even though I'm painting it on really thick. It doesn't really take a day to dry. So I'm going to show, oops, there's a beep, I'm going to show you how I then just finish the beads off with a bit of embellishing. Okay, so these are nearly dry, not all the way, but I'm just going to show you how I finish up my beads. For these I'm just going to use some metallic, because this to me doesn't have enough interest as yet. So I've just taken the copper dabber, and I'm just going to, some over the silver and some over the painted colour, just going to add some highlights to it. And the reason why I'm using this is because it's going to unify all my other coloured beads if I use the same copper. But you don't need to use acrylic paint. You can use these precious metal paints, or you can dip them in some mica powders, or you could, these gem gels are great because they're like a coloured glaze, or stickles, or you know, anything you can use it with. Here actually these are a bit funny, they look a bit odd, a bit funky looking, but in the actual gloopy sealant I just stuck on some seed beads. So you can do what you want with them really, and that's it. If you wanted to put some diamond glaze over the top of this to make it kind of glossy, then go for it. And these are now going to go on some journals, whether they go on journals for you or for jewellery. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.